In this video, I'm going to share my experience on doing some paint work on this Honda Civic, and it's a base coat clear coat. It's a DIY job at home. We tried to save some money and did it in our backyard carport with no paint booth, and I'll share my experience as the video plays. And the body work was a key element in this paint job. It had to be nice and straight, and I'll do another video on body, Bondo work, etc. at a later time, but now we'll just focus on the preparation for paint. And the whole panel, hood, fenders, and bumpers had to be sanded down with a 600 grit sandpaper. Everything had to be sanded so the primer has a scratchy surface to grip. And so the entire panels were 600 grit sanded, and then they were washed down to get ready for the primer. And that's one of the panels there that was completely sanded down with 600, ready for primer, and it's very dull. And then in the bumper here, all of the hidden areas had to be sanded because that primer needs to stick to something. You don't want to risk it peeling off, a year or two down the line. And after everything was sanded, we washed it down, and then we dried it off, and then we used a wax and grease remover called Prep-All, and we put it on a shop towel and wiped down everything that was going to be having a painted surface. And that was just extra protection that there was no oil fingerprint residue or any contaminants on the areas that were going to be painted. We used a TriStar DTM primer, and it's purchased from an auto body shop.
4-to-1 ratio.
And it's a 4-to-1 ratio.
Flash time, drying time between coats, 5 to 10 minutes. 1 to 2 hours to sand it. All right. 4-to-1 ratio is 4-to-1. 4 parts paint, 1 part activator. So we're going to go up to the 5 of paint, and then we'll go up to the next line, number 5, with the activator. Mix it. Strainer, in case there's any deposits of anything that shouldn't be mixed in the paint. We're going to be using HVLP Harbor Freight. This is mid-grade Harbor Freight quality spray gun, which will do fine for primer. Put it in our cup. This primer is pretty thick. It did cost about $175 for 1 gallon. It's very expensive, but this is what's used at the body shop, so it's good stuff. This goes in this kit, and this lid also has a strainer. Snaps on. This container that goes onto my Harbor Freight gun was a Amazon kit it comes with a cup, your inside container cups, lids, and some these strainers. And for this Harbor Freight gun, I had to purchase this adapter. I got this kit from Amazon. I got this adapter from Amazon, and then it screws on the top, and it snaps on. Push down and twist, and it locks in. And make sure this thing is screwed on just snug. You don't want to over tighten it because it's plastic. It'll break or strip. And it's ready for paint. So I'm going to be going at about 25 psi. 220 air compressor system that I got at Home Depot. As I'm spraying, I kept the gun moving, no pausing, almost like a robot effect. I would have to test my fan pattern at times. The primer was just a little bit thick, but adjusting the air pressure volume correctly, my fan correctly, I was able to get a decent flow pattern. If I do it again, I would probably add a 1-part reducer, and that would thin out the paint, but it would also kind of, this particular paint, primer, it would make it more of a primer sealer, which I think would be fine for this type of application. And I would also improve my air filtration system from my air compressor to trap any moisture. The air compressor creates moisture. That moisture passes through your gun, and then it causes a lot of problems with your spray pattern, which more so creates like an orange peel. So a air dryer filter would, good quality, would also help improve the appearance of and the quality of your work that you're spraying. And so as we continued to spray, we did 2 coats of primer, and it was about 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes between coats. It seemed to dry pretty fast. We were just sure to hit all the hidden areas, that everything that we sanded, we hit it with primer. And after we did the 2 coats of primer, then after the drying time of 2 hours, then we started sanding everything down that was primered with 600. We actually used a water sanding technique and to get it ready for paint. And the reason why we sanded it was just due to the fact that there was a little bit of orange peel on the primer, and spraying the paint over that would have magnified the texture of the paint. And so sanding it with 600 kind of gave us a clean slate, smooth slate, nice surface to do our painting. So here's the sanding process with the 600 over the primered panels. On this paint, it's a silver metallic base coat, clear coat. So this is the base coat, and the quart with the reducer was close to $150. It's a color match, so we took the gas tank lid, which was the color that we wanted to match the rest of the vehicle,
and in 2 hours they had the color match paint ready for us to pick up. And there's no extra charge whether you use color match or whether you go by the paint code of the vehicle. And so we used a tech cloth, which I got a box from Amazon,
This base
and
coat
wiped down everything that was going to be painted.
is a 1-to-1
And
ratio.
I
One part base
mixed the
coat,
paint with the
one
stirring
part,
stick
low,
and
slow reducer.
started to get that
So
process
1-to-1
ready.
is the paint will go to number 5, and the reducer will go up to number 5. And that's a 1-to-1 ratio. So, been mixing this. Gotta mix your metallics. And we're gonna go to number 5. Oy. Okay. Reducer. It's going to go to the next number 5. Now this stirring stick, once it hits this reducer, it's not going to go back in here. I'm going to get a new stick because it has the reducer, and it's just, I don't want to mix the two together unless I'm going to paint. Always use your strainer. This is a lot thinner than the primer. Okay, so I gotta keep that moving. I don't want the metallic to settle to the bottom. This goes in here. Snap the cap on. Put the locking ring on. Let me get my spray gun. I already put it away. You can shut up.
The PSI on the base coat is about 28 PSI. And I had a nice fan, a nice spray pattern, and everything was flowing really well. I was real happy with the way this brand paint was spraying. I was using the same Harbor Freight spray gun, that I sprayed the primer with, and I just cleaned it really well, and it was ready to go for the paint. I kept a consistent flow pattern. My distance, I tried to keep it the same. I kept the gun moving, and that robot effect. I've got all my edges, and we did 2 coats of the primer, and then this is 2 coats of the base coat paint. And the flashing time between coats, it was only about 20 minutes. The temperature that day spraying was about 90 degrees. It was a very warm day, and we used a slow reducer, which is necessary to use to mix with the paint on slow days, and which is critical because like in the wintertime when it's really cold, you're supposed to use a fast drying reducer. And with the right product during the right time of the year is real critical when trying to do any kind of painting with base coat clear coats. And probably for single stage like enamel paints would probably be the same. But anyways, on the bumper we had to be sure to get all the hidden areas. There's so many different angles and everything, and we just didn't want to have any dry spots when the car was reassembled and have to go back and do any touch-ups. It's just so much easier spraying it in different sections. We didn't have to mask up anything. And
it's on a 2-to-1.
Here we are with the
2
clear
parts clear coat, 1 part hardener. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this measuring cup where it says 2, 1, 1. We're going to use 2 parts clear coat, 1 part of the activator. So we're going to go to number 5 with the first one, and we're going to add to the next 5 with the activator. So let's do that right now. Okay. Now the activator is going to go to the next number 5. Use our strainer. It's going to go into this cup. We can put it in the cup right now. Cap, locking nut, our clean spray gun at about 28 psi. And we'll start spraying. Spraying this clear coat, I was having success with the 28 psi, so I left it alone. We're using the same gun, Harbor Freight gun. I just cleaned it really well, and my flow pattern, distance from the gun to the panel, everything, I kept everything the same. Kept the gun moving. I had a nice fan pattern, and using these products, which I saw body shop repair collision shops using these products, I just copied their technique, and it was very successful on spraying this clear coat. Luckily I didn't get any runs, and just keeping a consistent flow. And the clear coat was 3 coats of clear, and between coats I waited about 20 minutes, and it was the same day, still 90-degree weather, and luckily the wind wasn't blowing, and I did get a couple of bugs that landed, and we were able to pluck them out and save the job from having to redo it. And the panels came out really nice.
nice even coats. And I did make a mistake wiping a section down with the tack cloth between base coats, and it smeared some of the metallic. So I know now, when I'm painting metallics, not to mess with the paint, and not to wipe it down or anything, because the metallics will move on you, and then it would show up on your final job appearance. And here we're sanding down the clear coat after 1 day of drying time. The following day we got 1000 grit sandpaper, and then we got the whole panel where there was some orange peel, and we wanted to match the existing surface of the existing car, and it did not have very much orange peel. And on this particular job, there was a little bit of orange peel that was able to be sanded down with 1000 grit, and then we went over and sanded it down with 1500, and then we went and water sanded it down with 2000 grit sandpaper. So all those stages of color sanding or water sanding was with water, and it wasn't a long process, but it was a little bit of work to sand it all down to get it a nice smooth surface of what we were looking for. And here we're going to the buffing stages, and on the buffing stages, over the 2000 sanded finish, it went pretty fast, and we used 3M products with the wool pad, and we were able to cut and buff all of our work, and you can see the results here. And hopefully this helps somebody if they want to do a project, and it was in the past was intimidating or challenging, or I would just pay somebody to do it, and a lot of times everybody's in demand with body and paint work, and I would have my car gone for a long time while it was in the shop being painted. So it was just motivated me to try to learn how to do it myself, and luckily I had some friends in the business that gave me some tips on how to do it yourself, and it's been successful. And mistakes come along the way, but that's how you learn. And you can always redo your job if you're not happy with it. You may spend some money on materials, but you're gaining experience.
2000 grit
And
sandpaper,
so
water sand.
here's some more video of the buffing stages and the products that I used.
With rubbing compound that takes out all the 2000 scratches, gives a good shine. And then you jump over to the foam pad, which is a foam polishing pad 05707. With correction glaze. All you need is 3 drops. Work in small sections.
Y'all got it again.
And the residue wipes off easy. And you end up with a nice shine. Does it show the shine on the camera?